Okay, here's a pretty neat practicing process. It has to do with perspective number 2, the mechanical perspective. That would be our golf club and movements that we want our golf club going in. And then also the physical perspective. That would be our body and how we want our body to be supporting the movements of that club as we make our swing movements. To begin with, what I'm sensing here is just rotation of the club head, actually forearm rotation. So mechanically speaking, we're rotating the golf club. Physically speaking, we're rotating our forearms, feeling backswing rotation there and through swing release rotation there. So we're just kind of feeling some rotation taking place in our arms with the club, mechanically speaking. Then next, what we'll do is begin to sense our swing plane, our swing path. Swing path, swing plane mean the same thing. But what we're sensing here, and doing this standing straight up is pretty good to do because we're just in a nice vertical position with our spine, which is the way we're accustomed to going through our day, actually, standing straight up. So our plane in this case is working horizontal to the ground. You can see as I take it back, what I'm doing is feeling my body pivot. There's the first pivot of the swing, the backswing pivot. And I'm turning and looking at that club face position right now. And you can see how that club now is rotated into a square position at what will be the top of our swing. So we go from ready to set, and this is essentially the set position in our golf swing. Okay. So then what we'll do from here is we'll just continue feeling the through swing motion. Now we're going to feel the through swing motion where we go from that set position at the top of the swing up there, and we'll come through to make our through swing motion where now we're pivoting into our left hip or the lead hip, releasing our body, and now we're also rotating, getting that through swing rotation in our forearms and golf club so that the golf club again gets rotated into a fully released position, which again becomes parallel to that horizontal plane that we're swinging on here, since we're just making these motions standing straight up. Yeah, so the motion now, just feeling the whole motion of the swing, we'll go from that ready position to the set position here. Then we'll make our through swing action. Here comes the through swing. You can see here how, and this is really good for maybe folks who have a hard time hitting a solid golf shot in terms of sensing the release of my forearms through this 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, what will be the 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone. You can see here a good illustration of how our forearm begins to rotate prior to impact. You can see how my left arm, the lead arm, which really is the release arm in our golf swing, it begins to rotate over prior to impact in such a way that once the golf club kind of reaches the ball, it's in this process of turning over or squaring the face, or it's in the process of having the toe of the club pass the heel of the club, which would result in a draw spin. Now in a golf swing, of course, this is moving really fast. I mean, this is moving, that club head is moving 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 miles plus through this impact zone. So this is happening again very fast in the golf swing. But to do it like this really helps to kind of see and understand what truly takes place in terms of getting some good effective arm release. Again, watch that forearm rotation taking place right there. We get to this point in the swing, and what we really want to have is a good flat left wrist position right there. See that? You're coming into impact, and that angle is releasing into, we're actually uncocking our wrists, and we're rotating our forearms in such a way that right here through impact we get into that really nice firm left wrist and forearm position, and then through the swing, our arm, the momentum and the inertia of the club as it swings through, we'll continue rotating those arms over into a fully released position, allowing us to release all the energy that we've created with the angle. Then what happens is now we'll simply go ahead and take our ready position, in which case what we're doing at this point is we're just, instead of swinging on that horizontal plane, which we were a moment ago, now because we've taken our spine, which was obviously perpendicular to the ground when we were standing straight up, now we're tilted over like that, so our spine is in this position. Well, we're going to do essentially the same exact thing now, only it's on an inclined plane. So we go through the same process of feeling that arm rotation and feeling that pivot. So we go to the top of the swing, which is our pivot action. Takes us to the top of the swing here. And you can see at the top of the swing again, what I've done is pivoted into my right hip, and then the club face up there is rotated into a position that's rotated into the plane of our golf swing. And we'll come through in the downswing. What happens on the downswing, the angle is dropped down into that 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone, waist high, and we'll feel some nice arm rotation taking place through to the second pivot. The second pivot occurs on the lead side, or our left hip, right, over on this side. So we're rotating our body in this case, and as our arms come through that 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone, we have rotated the club again back over into a position where it's parallel to that original shaft plane, or that original plane line that we established at the ready position. So what we're seeing here basically is good mechanical movement of our golf club, and supported by good physical movement with our body. Now it's really good to go ahead and practice this with the use of the release board, because the release board, it being nice and square and large and have colors and the weight, it really allows us an opportunity to see and feel all these same things. There's that arm rotation that we just looked at, and then if I, just like we did when we had the golf club in hand, if we go ahead and throw in a horizontal plane, since we're standing straight up, and we'll begin to feel the backswing motion. There we go to the top of the swing right there. And again, you can see the board has rotated, relatively well squarely into the plane of the swing there. Set the angle, set position, pivoted into the right hip. Okay, and then we'll feel the through swing motion coming through. As we come through, we'll square that club face. In this case, it's the board. It comes back to square. Right there would be square. And then we'll feel the through swing rotation, or our release rotation as we come through the swing. Boom. So we get to the end of the swing. Again, the second pivot took place, and we've gotten that good arm rotation that produces that nice released position of the golf club. Okay. So going ahead and putting this now into the same process that we just did with the inclined plane, we'll now again take that ready position where we're going to go from vertical down to a ready position where we've again established the plane of our swing. Feel the same things taking place. There we go to the set position of the swing. The board gets rotated into the plane of the swing. Bring the angle back down the plane line. As it goes through the 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone down there where the ball is, the board gets rotated back over into the plane of the swing. So just watching this action here, and then then going from face on in just a regular practice swing motion, we can now begin to really feel the whole golf swing taking place. Ready position first. Then we'll go to the set position in the swing. Again, set position is the point at which we've set the angle in our swing. As we take it back, we'll set the angle in our swing while we have made that pivot into our right hip, right? And also very good to do, folks. Turn around, check it out, give some visual confirmation, get some visual confirmation that you have in fact set that good 90-degree angle, or something close to 90 degree, when we've reached that top of the swing position. Okay. Then on the through swing, here we're going to feel ourselves go ahead and start that through swing pivot into the left hip, or the lead hip. Here again, angles being dropped down into the plane of the swing, into the 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone, down there where the ball is. And we'll feel the release of our arms, or the rotation of the arms, just like we were sensing and feeling a moment ago in those drills. Here we're getting that that release take place in such a manner that, again, there's the board squaring up at the point of contact. There's that flat left wrist through impact right there. Boom, and then we'll come through. And in this case, it looks like a pretty active release. It looks like a pretty handsy release, but in a real golf swing, it wouldn't be quite that handsy. I'd be releasing my body a little more aggressively, and also the impact of the club striking the ball would slow down that rotation of my wrist and forearms and hands through impact. But this really does give a good sensation, a good feeling of what takes place, both from the mechanical standpoint of the angle and the release of that angle, as well as the physical standpoint of our body supporting that movement. And then when we get to the other side of the swing here again, we have essentially reset the angle. So we're basically going from a 90-degree set of the angle on the backswing to a downswing move through the bottom of the swing, through the 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone. Board or the club rotates over to a point where we've essentially reset the angle on the through swing side of the shot. It's the angle to angle drill, which is a really good old drill. And then what I'm doing here is I'm just sensing a swing where I'm not really worried about or paying attention to the weight in the release board. Here I'm feeling rhythm and timing in the swing, where I'm making continuous motions back and through, back and through, back and through. And that's truly how we myelinate movements. In other words, that's truly how we get our brain programmed to process these movements. That's what we're after, is to get the swing to the point where it's a motor skill. If it is in fact a motor skill, that means our brain, a certain part of our brain, is sending those messages through neural pathways out to our muscles, and it all just happens fluidly, meaning we're doing it without thinking about it. Well, the only way that we get to that point is to do what I'm doing here, and that is correct and sufficient repetition of movement. And that means thousands of repetition. But you can get to 1,000 pretty quick when you're doing this kind of practice. So anyway, sorry this was a long video, but very on-point information in terms of what we need to be paying attention to, how we need to be directing our thoughts and actions relative to both understanding and developing what would be a mechanically sound and a physically athletic golf swing movement. So go back and just look at bits and pieces and parts of this video. And again, what it addresses is the swing path or the swing plane, which is synonymous. And it addresses the set of the angle. And it addresses the movement of that angle through an acceptable and repeating swing path. It addresses our club face position as we move that club through the swing. It addresses the release of that angle through that 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock impact zone. So it essentially points at and identifies everything we need to be directing our thought and action toward relative to having and developing, that is, a mechanically sound, physically athletic golf swing motion. Alrighty, let's continue having fun with the R3 approach, and as we always say, let's continue doing good work.